welcome to the Sugar and Spikes podcast, a podcast for entrepreneurs, side hustlers, and anyone ready to uplevel their career in their own damn way. I'm Des. I'm a life coach for women who get that having it all sometimes means having to balance the good and the bad, the sugar and the spikes, and all the in-between.
And I'm Tammy. I'm a therapist, and I'm all about helping as many people as possible to build awareness and make meaningful changes in their lives. I'm also dedicated to diversity and inclusion and increasing access to mental health care.
Between the two of us, we have 4 master's degrees and thousands of hours helping people develop balance, confidence, and clarity on their terms. So let's get started. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Sugar and Spikes podcast. I'm Des.
I'm Tammy.
And today is, I don't know, I feel like today we're kind of getting back to our roots.
Yeah.
Like, not a giant, big topic, like a good topic, but not anything that's like super in depth. Like,
Yeah, I think we're just kind of maybe lightening up a little bit, taking a little step back. I mean, yeah, I think it's a good time for that. Kind of end of the summer type.
end of the summer, we've both been like stupid busy.
Yeah, so busy.
Like, it's been nuts. So yeah, I think just kind of like taking a little bit of a moment, a breather, while also still showing up, because I mean that's one of my core like maybe values is like consistency and making sure the things get done. Instead of coming up with excuses and putting things off and all of that stuff. I've been really tempted to take a bit of a break. We are actually talk about organic. We're coming up on September, and I've been wondering if we need to start like a season 2
Oh,
because it's the year mark.
yeah. I didn't think about that.
So just
maybe.
tossing that out there.
We'll see.
But that wouldn't necessarily be a break. That would just be a change in how we like do our numbering. So it's neither here or there.
It's a semantical change.
Yeah.
But we're still showing up as our best selves,
Mm-hmm.
doing as best we can.
We are living our best lives. We are living our worst lives, and we are showing up in all of them.
It's all about the and, right?
I say that after a 23-hour travel day.
I know.
Oh
you
my
could have
God.
made the drive in like 17 hours.
Oh
It's crazy.
my God.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So I've talked a bit about like all the travels I've been doing, where it's like weekly I'm flying from Fort Wayne to Austin, and it's cool and lovely and all that stuff, except when it's not. Like when it's
Right?
really not.
When it kind of goes wrong.
And now I have the same trip coming up this week, and I'm just realizing, like I just started realizing once you came over, that I actually have a ton of anxiety about flying out of the one airport that I flew out of.
Oh, no.
Because it was just like a total shit show.
Yeah, but you can recognize that and then just be like, I think this kind of leads really great into our topic for today. Like, you can fight against it. You can kind of be like, well, whatever. Let's just get to it.
Yeah. Well, like
and then it'll make more sense. We'll come back around to it at the end.
Well, the thing is, like, I could keep fighting the situation.
Yes.
Like, I don't want to fly out of this airport. Like, I want to rearrange my flight schedule. Or I could also recognize some of the facts, which are what happened was an anomaly. And guys, like, nothing like tragic happened. I guess I need to make that clear.
It was
just like, it was delays on delays on delays, and then a really bad hotel room. And then not delays, but like really shitty counter agents. And then I started crying, and then I got home.
So you did make it, right? You're
After
not still,
23
you're
hours.
not still
Oh my God.
stranded in an airport.
So the cherry on top of all of this is I got onto the second flight from Chicago to Fort Wayne, and I was out of it at that point, right? And I put my bag in the overhead bin, and I like leaned down to get my water that was on my seat, and my head hit the overhead bin like so hard. And then just the other day I was talking with my husband, and I was like, I still have a bump, and he felt my head, and he was like, that's not a fucking bump, that's a huge ass lump, like what happened?
Oh my goodness.
Oh, and the guy that was like right behind me as that happened, like actively laughed out loud when he saw that. I was like, you're a fucking asshole.
Thanks, dude. Thanks for the compassion.
Like, you don't know what I've been through.
I
Like, at that
know.
point, I hadn't, because, so 23-hour day, but I also woke up and actually, like, started, like, I worked that day and everything. So I was going on over 30 hours without any, like, real sleep.
Right.
And then that happened. Like, of course, my, like, depth perception is going to be off. My depth perception is off anyways.
Right?
So then he does that. I'm just like, you don't know other people's situations.
You don't. You really don't, right?
That ties really well into, so we pulled cards.
We did.
We did, because I mean, if you couldn't tell, we're a little dead.
A little.
Just a little dead. So, and well, we have like interviews coming up, and we're putting together like an actual series and everything. So back to our roots of pulling the cards.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so homeboy laughing at me. I'm like, dude, you don't know my situation, right? Okay. This ties into the benefit of the doubt. I believe in the basic goodness of other people. I mean, I guess I should be giving him the benefit of the doubt, like,
Right.
now that I'm reading this.
But it applies to you too. We're like, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe in the basic goodness of other people, and I give them the chance to show it. If they prove me wrong, that's on them. That's on that dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally it is.
At least I can go to sleep knowing that I practice trust and forgiveness rather than fear and doubt. And later on, if I need to, I can always change my mind and retroactively judge them like it's my career.
Right?
So I would say that kind of came into play during the travel fiasco,
Mm-hmm.
because shit just kept going wrong. And you know how it's so easy to blame like somebody else?
Yes.
Like your airline, your team, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
I mean, for all the things that consistently went wrong during that travel situation, it would have been really easy for me to be like, all these people are just really fucking incompetent,
Mm-hmm.
you know? But then, like, I really was actively trying to remind myself with each new person that I talked with, I was like, it's not their fault. Like,
Right.
it's actively not their fault.
Right.
They did not make this happen. And they're a person that may be able to get me home.
Right? So, yeah, I agree. I think, that can be huge when dealing with difficult things, is recognizing that the person that you're talking to
Mm-hmm.
may be able to help you in some way, and they're not personally responsible for the current predicament you find yourself in. And that can be hard to like be with and think with and have in your mind sometimes. But I think if the more we can remember it, the more it helps us to act with compassion. And when we act with compassion, we're more likely to get compassion in return.
Yeah. And I think like really it ties into how both you and I think like very much view the world, view clients, view folks that we interact with on the daily, is like folks are people do well when they can, right? Like that's one of like the core tenets that we learned in grad school, that like we were able to like pick and choose when we were learning about theory, and like I know we both were like, I like that.
But I like to include the and a little bit. So I think people do well when they can, and I also think people are doing the best they can, and sometimes they do need to do better.
Yeah.
And that still doesn't negate that they are doing the best they can.
All of the ands.
Yeah.
Okay, go over that one more time just so everybody can track, because I thought you were done at a couple different points.
Oh, okay. So I'm a firm believer that all people, are really doing the best that they can. And yes, sometimes they need to be doing better. And that doesn't mean they aren't trying their hardest, doing their best, showing up as much as they can, right? So it helps me to approach people with compassion.
Yeah.
Which is, I've said it now like a million times, I feel like, in the few minutes we've been recording, but it's such a core piece of who I am that when I can approach people that way. So you can acknowledge that what's happening isn't okay, or how a person's treating you is not great, or you look at some of the decisions that they're making and you're just like, I don't understand what the fuck is going on over there. And if you can approach it from the point of view of like they're doing the best they can, then I don't know. I think it kind of helps to maybe not be as upset, maybe not take it as personally, maybe kind of let go of it a little bit more.
Well, and I feel like the and do better piece it was really like your opportunity to help kind of facilitate that.
Yeah.
Um, in kind of any situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't tell you how many times I've been so pissed with people and like gone back to that like baseline and gone back to and be a better fucking person.
Yeah.
Like when I'm really mad and stuff, like
Mm.
just do better. Come on.
But yes, it's a perfect time. So,
Mhm.
like me as a therapist, you as a coach, those are those can't talk today. Those are those places where we can inject our expertise and help
Mhm.
guide and say, I understand you're doing your best and here
Mhm.
are ways you can do better,
Mhm.
right? Like
Yeah.
and help build them up
Mhm.
and approach it from a place of positivity
Yeah.
and learning.
Hey guys, Des here. I'm just popping in with a quick message for all of you entrepreneurs and side hustlers out there. Are you ready to grow your business so you have real influence so that when you speak, people don't just listen, they actually do something? Do you want to be able to share your message, product, or service in a way that feels truly authentic to you so you can stand out from the crowd? Are you ready to finally be a true leader in your industry? If so, then it's time you signed up for the free Legendary Leadership Challenge. In just 5 days, you will be able to define your leadership style, develop a whole new way to view all the things on your to do list so you're not overwhelmed, create consistent, standout content, increase your community engagement and connections, like real, actual connections, and redefine self care so you can keep doing all the things you're made to do. If you're ready to rise up as the legendary leader you know you are, then head on over to DesireeW.com and click on the Legendary Leadership Challenge and sign up today. And when you sign up for the challenge, you also get 5 free days to all of the content in the Legendary Leadership Society. Guys, it's nuts. So, if you're ready to learn how to lead your way, take the Legendary Leadership Challenge today. What about if a client like if you give someone like tools and shit
Mhm.
and then they don't take it?
So that's their choice, right?
Mhm.
Like people have autonomy.
100%, yeah.
People get to make their own choices.
Mhm.
So it's about not being invested in their choices and
Mhm.
empowering them to be invested in their choices,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that people don't hear like that doesn't mean like I don't care. I
Mhm.
do care. That's
Mhm.
why I do the job I do.
Mhm.
And you're the expert on your life,
Mhm.
and change will happen to the degree that you change things, right?
Mhm.
So, like if you were my client and I had given you a lot of tools and you were not using them, we might have a
Mhm.
discussion about, well, what's getting in the way and what makes that difficult. And
Mhm.
because the truth is, changing behavior is really difficult.
Mhm.
And like, there'll be good days and bad days. And sometimes it just seems overwhelming and too hard. And so, like,
Mhm.
one thing that I like to discuss with clients is the times you need those new skills the most are the times you're not going to want to use them,
Mhm.
because those are the times you're going that are stressful, that are difficult,
Yeah.
that are upsetting. And so like that's when it's hardest to be
Mhm.
your best.
Yeah.
So you can have that stance, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, and I feel like God, I feel like that's true for business too.
Yeah.
Like I've thought about so with as busy as everything has been recently, right? I have all of like the tools and like strategies and stuff to like outline pieces, like outline content and do all of the things that I've kind of talked about before on the podcast, like automating my social media, doing the things, like
Mhm.
pre-planning. I have all those tools. And the time that I need it the most, I haven't been doing it.
Right.
Like just like in like full transparency and if folks follow me on social, like they know that. Like I've been so caught up. So I mean it speaks to the yes, you know these things and everything. And what happens if you don't use them? And then like how do you troubleshoot that? You
Yes.
know, like I've been kind of thinking about that and playing around with like, okay, well, the last couple weekends I've been saying I was going to do X. I haven't done X. what's getting in the way of that, and like having that like space for self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like as a business owner, right? Like if you find yourself like dropping the ball on a couple things, or things aren't going the way you want it to, like as a business owner, it's on you
Yeah.
to figure it out, and to either outsource or get the help you need. Like with the podcast, I've completely outsourced all the things.
Yeah.
Like we record, and for the most part, that's all I do
Mm-hmm.
anymore.
Yeah.
Like even posting it and everything, that's not me.
Okay.
Or else it wouldn't get done. Mainly because I've been traveling on Tuesdays, but
Yeah.
that was a really long side tangent.
No, I mean, I think it's a good point. Like the way we as individuals implement processes and tools to change our own lives can
Mhm.
definitely parallel business.
Mhm.
Like when you get into the rhythm of how you've done things for a little or a long time,
Mhm.
a way that feels comfortable to you,
Mhm.
then you can have all the tools in the world. But in times of stress, when things are
Mhm.
difficult, then trying to implement something new is
Mhm.
incredibly hard.
Yeah.
So you go back to what you know, even if
Mhm.
it's not the most efficient way, even if it's not like this amazing tool that you learned about and desperately want to use,
Mhm.
you're going to go to what you know.
Mhm.
So, I mean, yeah, I think those things parallel each other really nicely.
Yeah, and I mean, I think this ties in with kind of the last couple of episodes that we've done, just in terms of times of transition, like
Hmm.
understanding your base level behavior and what makes sense for you.
Hmm.
And then even because when things change, I feel like our responses are not what we expect them to be.
Yeah.
Like, and we know that that's social psych 101, right? Like, you
Mm.
can't predict your own behavior. You like to think you can, but you can't.
Right.
So when things change, there's really no way of telling like how you're going to show up and, keep maintaining things. And, like I'm just kind of thinking through this now in terms of like the shifts that have gone on and stuff in my life, and it's like, oh yeah, I've been putting a lot of extra um like energy on myself and requirements to do this one thing, but this is a whole new situation, so of course things are going to look completely different.
Right. So we have patterns of responding,
Mhm.
ways that we deal with things, but those are hard for us to see. I mean, right? And
Yeah.
I think the one thing you can say about times of transition and change, even if they're positive and amazing, is
Mhm.
they're sources of stress.
Mhm.
And so in sources of stress, we may not know what expectations we are putting on ourselves. If it's a
Mhm.
new situation, they may be a whole new set of expectations, but
Mhm.
yet we still know we have this habit. Maybe we know we had this habit of putting extra expectations on ourselves during transitional times.
Mhm.
So identifying that pattern, then you can go to say, okay, what expectations am I putting on myself now? Because they'll look
Mhm.
different every time,
Yeah.
right? So identifying those patterns of behavior, you can do it yourself. True.
Mhm.
You can also do it with the help of a coach. You can also do it with
Mhm.
the help of a therapist. You can also do it with the help of a really good, insightful friend. So
Mhm.
like, who are you going to go to who's going to be able to say like, hey, you're doing this thing again? Because
Mhm.
like I know my process when things change is just wanting to go back to the way
Yeah.
things were. I'm like, no, I just think I want to go back there.
Mhm.
And so knowing that that's my process, I can
Mhm.
recognize where I am in that and kind of say, okay, so it's going to be kind of stressful and icky for a little while, but
Mhm.
then continue to move forward.
Well, yes to all of that.
Sorry.
And well, no, like I fully agree with all that. I also want to acknowledge that there are some changes that can be so big and so drastic that can break patterns.
Yes, absolutely.
Like with the change in jobs and everything that I've gone through
Mhm.
recently, like the job that I had back in the day, um, was really like I had this like long-term plan, right?
Yeah.
And then I feel like if I had gotten almost any other job afterwards, that plan would have been the same. My focus would have been the same. In terms of like, I don't want to say like building my own business and stuff, but like the strategy and a lot of things would have looked very much the same.
Mhm.
And now I'm with this new company and in a new position, and it's so it's such a perfect fit
Yeah.
that it's broken the pattern of like prior focuses. plural.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
kind of said, here's my playbook and the way that, like, this is my expectation, like, here's my 5-year plan or whatever. And this has been such a unexpected experience in so many ways that it's like that book's not even relevant or valid anymore, and you have to kind of write a whole new one, right?
Kind of.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's the same, like, pattern of change, like, from job to job or, like, transition period. But because it's been so unexpected, it's completely broken down a lot of the other my like preconceived notions.
Yeah. I mean, there are huge changes like that. And I think you're right. You just have to kind of deal with them as they come and, you know, just do the best you can and know that you are. Because you're doing the best you can.
Well, and going back to like what we started out with, I mean, everybody is kind of, I feel like everyone's always going through some sort of change, right? Like we talked about that. Like life is not stagnant.
No.
It doesn't just like stop. You never get to press pause. In the words of Ellis Gray, the carousel never stops spinning. That goddamn carousel.
Right? Fucking carousel.
So, I mean, we're all interacting with people every day that are going through some significant stressors. And if someone's an asshole, I mean, maybe they're having a moment. We all have those moments.
Absolutely. So yeah, that benefit of the doubt piece, right? And recognize they do need to do better. Like they don't need to treat people like garbage. And they're going through whatever they're going through right now that isn't allowing that to happen. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like we went on a big side tangent, but I felt it was important and valuable.
And I think it's good. All right, guys. Well, that was it took a turn, as it always does.
Short and sweet today.
Short and sweet, but also super good. Like, I think it comes down to, as with everything we talk about, it comes down to awareness.
Yeah.
It comes down to awareness of patterns and awareness that something may break those patterns and awareness that people are dealing with their own shit and it doesn't give them the right to be not great.
And the benefit of the doubt for yourself. You're doing the best you can.
Yeah.
You're showing up as best you can. And okay, there are ways you can improve. And that doesn't take away the fact that you are doing the best you can.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that is it for this week, and I will talk to you later.
Bye, friends.
Well, that wraps up another episode of the Sugar and Spikes podcast. If you guys like what we're doing, please subscribe, leave a rating, share it with your friends. It would mean the world to us. If you're not a huge fan of what we're doing, maybe share it with someone you think may like it. If you want to keep up to date on all of the Sugar and Spikes shenanigans, get the behind-the-scenes tour of life and business as a millennial female entrepreneur, then follow me across all the social medias. I'm Des W, Ms. MBA. DEZWMSMBA across all the platforms, your Facebooks, your Twitters, your Instagrams. I'm there, same name. And don't forget, if you're ready to rise up as a legendary leader, you know you are, then head on over to DesireeW.com and sign up for the free 5-day Legendary Leadership Challenge. Also, I want to thank Forget the Whale for use of their song Move Along as our theme music. And guys, remember to stay unavailable for fuckery.